Good day, everyone. This is Sidney Fofe of SL Podcasts. I'm very excited again today to be sharing information with you, the information that is meant to change your life and make you better. We are on another important topic today, the demise of blaming others and external forces. We can improve in life. We can get better if every time we don't take responsibility of what is happening in us and around us. If we are going to keep projecting and blaming other people and blaming external forces or circumstances around us for the things that are not working for us, we cannot improve or we cannot get better at anything. We need to realize, it is very important for us to realize that we are human, we are fallible, we are erratic in nature in many ways. If we can come to understand that about life, we will always put life into perspective and it will work wonders for us. We must admit that we contribute mostly to our failures. The things that are not working for us, the things that are not coming through the way we want, mostly we contribute immensely to the failures. We need to understand that and we need to admit that so that we can be better and we can do things better. Our lives are our responsibility, and it has always been like that. No one has the responsibility to take care of us, especially when we are adults. It is our responsibility to make sure that we are fed and everything about us is being taken care of. It is ironic in life to relegate the responsibility of our lives to other people. We really need to understand everything concerning me, everything concerning us is our responsibility. If things are going to happen, if things are going to change, I am responsible. No one is responsible for our happiness. No one is responsible for our peace of mind. No one is responsible for my physical and emotional well-being. It is my responsibility. If I'm not happy, I am not happy. I cannot project it on other people or other things. Other people and other things may contribute to what is happening in me and around me, but it is not the sole purpose why things are not working or things are happening the way they are happening around us. As long as we can come to understand that, our lives are going to be far much better. Many people's lives can improve and they can get better because every time we blame other people, we blame other circumstances, we blame every other thing except ourselves. And unfortunately, if we are in that state of mind, we can improve. Things can get better for us because every time we are never going to address the real problem. Because if we contribute to the problem and we project it on other people, we are going to work on correcting other people, while in the actual fact, we should be correcting ourselves and making adjustments and improvements. If we can't do that, we will be definitely addressing wrong things, and our problems are going to remain, and they are going to escalate and overwhelm us. Even if everybody or every other thing can change, if we don't change, we are going to realize that nothing is going to change. The problems that we face and the circumstances that we are faced with are going to escalate, they are going to increase, because we can change places, we can change jobs, we can change people. If we don't change, things are not going to change. Things are not going to improve. That's how we are supposed to perceive and look at life. We are the common denominator in everything that we go through. And unfortunately, if the denominator doesn't change, we can't get better. We can't get to where we want to get to because we don't change. And unfortunately, a lot of people, whenever they encounter difficulties, they will want to change people, they want to change circumstances, they want to change their jobs, only to realize after some time that they fall into the same problem over and over again because they didn't give themselves a chance to change and become better. It is very critical for us to understand that we must admit to ourselves that we are fallible. We are human. We make mistakes. And we need to admit to our mistakes. We need to admit to our shortcomings, because we can't improve on anything which we have not admitted to. And as long as it is someone else who contributes to our shortfalls, things are never going to improve. We are going to be the same year in and year out. But if we take responsibility on the things that we need to take responsibility on, we will be able to work on something and we are going to be able to improve and get better. We need to work on our old thinking patterns. We need to work on our paradigms so that at the end of the day, we can change. And if we change, everything about us and everything around us can change and improve. In all our difficulties, we need to understand there is a little bit of rottenness somewhere. Since we are human, there is something which is not okay about us. We have limitations, we have weaknesses. If we don't identify the rottenness in us, the rottenness is going to spread and affect other areas of our lives. If we are not going to be able to recognize the rottenness in us, we are sure to find the rottenness is going to spread and is going to bring us down. It's just a matter of time. We need to understand that about life. We need to take on the entire new way of thinking for us to see things improve around us and in us. We need to have the renewed perception. It can't always be other people. It can't always be circumstances. It can't always be an external force that is causing us to not experience what we need to experience with our lives. This can't be. And people who have that kind of mentality, I am sure they never improve. And as long as you don't change the things that are not okay with you, people may change around you, but you are going to remain the same. And the blame game is going to continue until it destroys you, because it is just a matter of time. We need to realize that we owe it to ourselves. We need to change. We need to have the right kind of mindset. We owe it to ourselves. It is our responsibility to make sure that we see things the way they are. We see things as they happen. We see our contributions to our downfall. If we don't see our contributions, unfortunately, we are going to come to a place where we realize that life passed and we didn't improve. We blamed others, and people are going to find you out with time that you are the problem. After pointing fingers at other people, after pointing fingers at circumstances, you're going to be found out with time that you are the problem, because it can't be that every person is wrong and you remain right every time. It is not possible. And people who admit to their weaknesses, people who admit to their contributions, they will make adjustments with time and they can get better. It is easy to blame others and blame external forces. And unfortunately, that kind of approach to life is very detrimental to our lives. It will bring us down. If we have to improve, if we need to get better, we need to look at ourselves in the right perspective, in the right lens, to say, how am I contributing to my failures? How am I contributing to the things that are not working for me? If I'm not going to be realistic with myself, obviously I'm going to get everything perverted. And it will be easy to blame others. It will be easy to blame circumstances. It will be easy to blame the external forces, but only to realize with time that I have been the problem all this time. What is blame? We need to understand what blaming is all about. This is an impulse that is part of us. When people hurt or mistakes are made or relationship reach a conflict, our mind resort to clever way of avoiding the psychological effect of what we envisage or what we are anticipating. We tend to get into a dodging mode. When we blame people, it's just a mode of dodging reality and avoiding the physical and the psychological effect of what is happening around us. In most cases, the easiest way to avoid that pain is to externalize it. That's what we do every time. We externalize what we are supposed to both externalize and internalize. We need to look in ourselves of how we are contributing, and we need to put life into perspective again of the other contributing factors. But if we are going to externalize everything, definitely we are going to get it all wrong. We need to understand that for many people, externalizing is so instinctive that it becomes standard operating procedure. That's what we need to understand about this blame thing. We then miss out on our role, the negative situation, and fail to take ownership of it. It is very important for us to understand that if we externalize everything, it becomes the way we process everything every time. It becomes a standard operating procedure for us. It becomes a default. People who are fond of externalizing things and blaming other people, it becomes their character. It becomes the way they do things every time. And unfortunately, people like that never improve. You can't get better. You can't improve. You can't be the best version of yourself if you don't take responsibility over what is happening around you. Titus Livius, who was a Roman historian, says something very profound. He said, men are only clever at shifting blames from their own shoulders to those of others. This is what we keep doing. Instead of owning up to some things, we want to shift blame. We want to put it on other people's account so that we may look clean. And this thing is not okay because it affects us in a long run. Titus Livers discussed blame shifting in the distant past. And this man was a Roman historian, and he said these things many years ago, many years ago, suggesting that even though people disapprove of it, this method of avoiding other people's censures is nothing new. This has been going on for years. We really need to understand that this thing, we disapprove of this thing. We don't agree with the blame game. We don't agree with people who keep blaming others. But it has been going on for years. We are not learning much as humanity, especially concerning this issue. The blame game has been on for years, and we are continuing with it even now. Today we continue to live in the culture where people remain motivated to avoid appearing blameworthy and quickly point their fingers at anyone but themselves when something goes wrong. It has started many years ago, and it has continued even up to today. So it is very easy for us to point fingers. Whenever something goes wrong, whenever there is fallout in relations, whenever the finances are not getting to where we want, so we usually point a finger. Most people, it is very ironic, we tend to blame any other thing except ourselves. When we are running short of money, or we don't have savings, or our finances are becoming chaotic, we tend to talk about, if only I had a better salary, if only I had better earnings, instead of looking at how we can use the little resources that we have. We tend to externalize everything, and we exonerate ourselves from the responsibility that we can participate and engage on. And unfortunately, people like that never improve. Year after year, time after time, the same. Failure and blaming shifting. It is the thing that has been going on for years. Elizabeth Lozano and Sean Laurent, in their journal publication of March 2019, posited that because perceived weakness has the potential to ruin careers and reputation, it comes as no surprise that individuals seek to defend and bolster their self-images and monitors their public appearance in social settings. In part, people are reluctant to admit they have failed because of a general desire to avoid negative social evaluation and disapproval from others. This is what we do. We don't want to be seen in a bad light in the social setups. And we tend to not admit to our failures. We tend to not admit to the things that we have contributed to. We blame others, we blame circumstances, we blame every other thing except admitting that we have contributed to the failures or the things that are not going right. They continue to say, to save face when things go wrong, people will sometimes shift blame away from themselves by bringing attention to external causes, attempting to obscure their role in causing misfortune. This tendency may be especially true for individuals in the public eye. We're talking the corporate leaders and politicians, as their failures are likely to be noticed by others and can cause repercussions such as loss of status, rank, or even employment. This is what we do. People in public spaces, public figures, Whenever they encounter failure, they encounter problems, they tend to save face, they hide the truth. And unfortunately, it's just a matter of time. In most cases, they are found out. And people lose trust altogether. When people realize that you are not telling the truth, they completely lose trust on you and what you said. And unfortunately, it has even longer bearing repercussions than when we could have just admitted that I am wrong and I caused or I have contributed to the failure or the things that are not going right. The more we do that, the more we stand a chance of correcting and making things right. John M. Gottman, who is Professor Emeritus, Psychology Department, argues that the most destructive behaviors in relationships are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. This is what he saw as the main cause for relationship failures. His work helping organizations create a strong culture of accountability has led him to conclude that the most lethal behavior is actually blame. Professor John M. Goodman came to a conclusion that the most lethal behavior is blaming. And because blaming encompasses all these other behaviors that he was talking about, we need to understand that it is very dangerous to play the blame game. It is very dangerous for us to always blame others and blame external forces for the things that are happening in us and around us. We are contributing somehow to our failures. We are contributing somehow to the things that are not working right. And we need to admit to our contribution so that we can fix that. If we don't fix it, it is going to grow and it is going to overshadow everything that we are trying to build or trying to do. The moment we admit to our faults, we know for sure we are getting somewhere. The blame game must fall. And in conclusion, we need to eliminate the blame mentality. It is very important for us to come to the realization that we all make mistakes. We are all human. We are fallible. We are erratic as human beings. And as much as we learn from our mistakes, we should even allow others to learn from their mistakes. We need to eliminate the blame mentality completely. We don't need to be blaming other people or blaming the politicians, blaming every other thing, our parents, blaming our partners, blaming any other thing for the things that are not working for us. They may have contributed, but the bulk of the work is on us. We are responsible for our lives. We are responsible for everything that happens in us and around us. And we really need to do ourselves justice and eliminate the blame mentality, because it has not worked for anyone. And like we were saying, this thing has been going on for years. And unfortunately, we are not learning anything from it. We cannot blame other people and blame circumstances and improve. We can't get to where we want as long as we are going to be playing the blaming game. The second and last point, we need to focus on what we can change. There are things we can change, there are things we cannot change. In most cases, we delude ourselves to think that we can change other people. It is difficult to change other people. as much as it is difficult to change ourselves. Every time we try to change other people, we make them even harder to change. We really need to understand that we can influence people to change, but we can't force them to change. So that leaves us with us to change. If we can process things properly, if we can see things the way they are supposed to be seen, if we can see failures and we assess them the way they are supposed to be assessed, we can come to a place where we can change the things that can change, which is us. We can make ourselves adjust. We can work on ourselves. We can't work on the policies. We can't work on any other thing. As long as we are not politicians, we can't work on policies and other things. But we can work on our daily mistakes. We can work on our daily shortcomings. We can work on our daily weaknesses. And the more we improve, life around us will improve automatically. We need to be accountable to our mistakes. We need to be accountable to our failures. We need to be aware that when we blame others for our problems, it kills accountability in ourselves by making us passive victims. And it kills accountability in others by encouraging them to pass the buck. Whenever we blame others for our mistakes, they lose trust on us. We kill accountability altogether. The things that we were supposed to be accountable for, we are not taking account of all those things. And as long as we are not accountable and we want to make other people account for the things we are supposed to be accounting for, they will also pass the buck because it is now fashionable to be doing that. And this is a bad culture. This is something that we have inherited because it has been going on for years. And it is not working for us. If we desire our lives to change, if we desire our lives to improve, we really need to work on this blame game. Blaming others, blaming external forces for our failures and our weaknesses and the things that are not going right for us is a scam and is a trap. We need to untrap ourselves. If at all improving our lives matters to us, if we want to solve the right and real issues in our lives, we need to look in ourselves, how we are contributing to the things that are not working for us. If we can't deal with that, unfortunately, we can't deal with other people. We can't deal with external forces if we fail on small bit of working on ourselves. We can do this, we can improve, we can get better as long as we are going to look at the right things. Life can change for us as long as we are going to stop the blame game. We contribute to our failures, we contribute to our downfall, and we shouldn't let it continue. This thing needs to stop. We need to start processing things properly. Thank you very much.